Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. How do you like your exes? Poached, scrambled, or over easy? Today in the rLounge, what goes around really does come around, and then some. Aunt poached my fiance for her daughter. I took away his trust fund, and they're on the streets. I know it takes two people to cheat. Not denying that my ex was a loser to fall for my cousin, but it's also true that my aunt and cousin kinda poached him. I, 28 female, have been engaged to Ron, 27 male, for a year. We had known each other since our college days. We were friends, but not very close. We started dating after our college days, and since then, we've been together for 4 years. Last year, we got engaged. We held a small ceremony with close family and friends. My aunt was also invited. My aunt and her daughter, Lucia, 24 female, have been living with my grandparents since her husband passed away a few years back. Ever since she attended my engagement, Aunt was impressed by my ex's charm. She told everyone how handsome and rich he was. She couldn't stop praising him. It was unusual because she hadn't been so fond of me. Her daughter, Lucia, is drop-dead gorgeous, but she is as dumb as a stone. Aunt always compared the two of us in all aspects. I was good at studies. Though she was 4 years junior to me in academics, Aunt would compare our report cards and remark how her daughter was better than me. The funny part was when she compared her 8th grade card with my 12th grade card and declared her to be better than me, joke's on her, Lucia couldn't pass high school. Ron and I were planning our wedding in October because I had to visit the UK for a summer program. Everything was fine between us when I left in June. We used to talk once a day because of the time difference. It was a 10-week program, and 2 weeks into this, it started getting cold between us. I asked him what's the matter. He didn't say anything straight, just stalled it, saying he was stressed due to work. I thought the distance had taken over our feelings. I didn't take it seriously because it was not a new relationship. I thought of sorting out the matter after going back. A week before my program ended, he ghosted me. Dang, it felt so childish to me. I mean, whatever the thing is, he could have confronted it, but he chose the easier way and vanished. There's something about me. Call it ego or whatever. I don't run behind people. I'm not that good of a person. No matter how much I get hurt, I don't put my guard down. His ghosting felt like a gut-wrenching, yet I didn't show up at his door. Yes, I was in my delusional world that he would come knocking at mine. He didn't. Instead, my aunt showed up at my door with a wedding invite. I got to know he was getting married to my cousin, Lucia. What the F? In the age of emails, she comes up with a printed copy of the invite. She wanted to witness my disappointment firsthand. That was one of the very few moments of my life where I was caught off guard. I was in shock. It was more of how. How could he fall for my cousin who barely can pay for her meals? But soon enough, my aunt helped me with the answer. She goes, "I'm so sorry, sweetie. I can understand your pain, but what can we do when people fall out of love? Maybe he couldn't handle the distance. Don't be mad at your sister. Ron was the one who reached out to Lucia for a coffee because he had nothing else to do after work. You know how gorgeous my princess is. You can't blame Ron for falling for her." I looked at her with red, teary eyes. You see, usually, I don't entertain my aunt and cut her off in between, but this time, I was so shocked that I couldn't say a word. All I did was stare at her and take her mean, sugar-coated insults. She said, "Trust me, honey. I love you as much as I love Lucia. I yelled at her when she told me about Ron, but he came down at my place and politely confessed his profound love for Lucia. You know how humble and sweet a man he is. My heart instantly melted for him when he went down on his knees and asked for Lucia's hand from me like an old-school gentleman." Tears rolled down my cheeks as I imagined Ron doing everything she described. She tried to hug me, but I blocked her. I wiped my tears and stood up saying I had something to attend, so please leave. She was like, "If you're intending to contact Ron, don't do that. He has blocked you. I made him do so. It doesn't look good that my son-in-law contacts his ex, you know?" I said, "F you and your son-in-law. I've got a lot to do in life than poaching others' men." She stood up and said, "Don't be disheartened, my baby. I can understand it would be tough for you to get another man at this age and with these looks, but don't worry. There are plenty of divorced men looking out for a second love in life. I'm sure you'll find one such a good man." I yelled, "Get out." I badly regret losing my composure and giving her the satisfaction of watching my vulnerability, but that's okay. We all have weak moments in life where we just can't hold ourselves together. This news was way more painful than the ghosting thing. I'm not saying it would have been easy if he cheated with any other woman, but it would be a lot better than this. I would have cut him off and be rest assured to never meet him again, but now who knows? My aunt can show up any time to rub her daughter's prize on my face. Everyone in the friends and family knew about me and Ron. Now I feel stupid for having a pompous engagement. Now that he's getting married to Lucia, the story is evident to everyone as to what has happened in the background. My aunt has been weaving a different story that Ron found solace in Lucia because I was too headstrong and egotistic, and I prioritized my career over him. She told everyone that Ron didn't want me to go to the UK for the summer program, yet I went there and stopped talking to him. She went as far as saying that Ron suspected me of hooking up in the UK. He heard some guy's voice from the background whenever he called me and stuff. I've never been in touch with most of my relatives after moving out from home. Even as a teenager, I was distant from them because I didn't like their small talk. Hence, it was easier for my aunt to sell off her lies. It feels so terrible. I know all these golden lines that had happened for the best. I got rid of the cheater. There's light at the end of the tunnel. But you know what? When you're in the middle of the dark phase, it's just impossible to sail through it, even though you know everything is going to be okay in a while. Wow. It sure didn't take your ex long to marry your cousin. And who's the conductor on this train wreck? Your dear aunt. Orchestrating drama like it's her full-time job. Who needs enemies when you've got relatives like that, right? Auntie's masterful storytelling skills, spinning a web of lies so tangled, even a detective could throw in the towel. Suddenly, you're the villain in your own life story, painted as the heartless career woman who dared to pursue her dreams while her Prince Charming strayed. Update 1. Hello, and thanks for cheering me up in my original post. I've been intending to update this for a long time. I was like, the day I don't feel anything for my ex, I'm going to make an update, and here we are today. It indeed got better, and there's cherry on the cake. Wait for that. That phase was really dark and long. Not that I didn't go through a breakup before, but this was horrible because he was my fiance. My mom dropped by for a week, and it kind of helped me have her by my side. However, I felt sick to my guts the moment she left. I was with Ron for so many years that every place brought back his memories. Enough reason for me to leave the city. I applied for jobs in the UK and got a very promising one in Leeds. Nothing like it. I packed my bags and left. Pro tip from me: if anyone is struggling to move on from a broken past, nothing heals better and faster than a change in scenery. Yes, only if your situation. I understand not everyone has this leverage to move out from their base. See, if you could. Anyways, moving to Leeds felt like I was reborn. I was amazed at how quickly I moved on. It took a better turn a few days ago when my mom called and asked me if Ron was unemployed. I said, yes, he was. I mean, not unemployed, but he left his job a year ago to pursue his passion for writing. There's an interesting thing. Ron wanted to be a writer, and he was writing stuff here and there, but he was not getting anywhere amidst his full-time job. So I stepped up to help him build a career around writing. We had this agreement that I would work full-time while he would set up a ground of entrepreneurship, and eventually I would leave my job, and we both would work to set up our own enterprise. Sounds fascinating, right? Yes, but he effed up. Mom laughed so hard when I told her these details. She said that Aunt came to her the other day and screamed, "Why didn't you tell me that Ron was a bum?" Mom was confused because the last she knew, he was working and quite well off. Mom said she had no idea about this. Aunt told Mom that Ron was insisting Lucia take up a crash course which would land her a better paying job so that she could bear the household expenses for both of them. He wanted to execute that plan with Lucia. Little did he know that my aunt got him married to Lucia so that they both could live off his income. Well, joke's on both of them. The last I remember, Lucia worked part-time as a receptionist in a restaurant, taking table reservations. Not sure if they both would be able to live off of a receptionist's income. I might be sounding mean to look down upon Lucia for her profession. Well, I'm not. Or maybe I am. I don't care. I wish I could see the disappointment and anguish on my aunt's face when Ron's truth came out. There's one more layer to this. Aunt was a mistress to Lucia's dad, and when he died, his legal wife kicked them out of the house. That's why Aunt was living with my grandparents. They were feeding off the pension money of my grandparents, and sometimes my dad and my uncle helped them out financially. Lucia has always been a dim-wit kid. She doesn't like to work. Neither she is capable of it. She failed twice in high school and ultimately dropped out. That receptionist job she got was also because of my uncle. He referred her to his friend's restaurant. Nowadays, even a receptionist job needs a high school diploma. If you think karma is served, not yet. After I was done sulking, it was time for action. He was still at his job. We together bought a trust fund that we intend to use later for our business. I had all the access to that trust fund because I managed our finances. I was putting away money in that every month. I would say 20% of the money in that trust fund was his. I liquidated all that fund when I got to know about his cheating. He has no clue that the fund doesn't exist now. He is still delusional that he would get the money from there because he told Lucia that once my anger subsided, he would reach out to me and get his 50% of the share from the trust fund. Delusional, heh. If you think I'm a fraud, well, I'm not, because I had spent an equivalent amount of money on Ron on his bad days. After Ron left his full-time job, he was struggling hard to get any writing gigs. It was difficult for him to make ends meet, so I gave him access to one of my spare bank accounts where I was putting some money for his monthly expenditure. I supported him through all my means. I think what I did is fair. Had we been married, I would have got alimony. This trust fund was close enough because we were almost married. Now, I'm wondering about his future plans of entrepreneurship. He has no savings and no job. Not my problem anymore. Well. Looks like the universe decided to serve up a piping hot plate of karma with a side of poetic justice. Who knew revenge could taste so sweet? First off, major props to you for not just moving on, but relocating to a whole new country to escape the ghost of a relationship past. Talk about a boss move. And let's not forget your golden nugget of wisdom. When life gives you a heartbreak, hop on a plane and change your postcode. If only everyone had that option, the world would be a much saner place. But oh, the plot thickens. Your ex, the would-be writer, turned unemployment dreamer, fell for the oldest trick in the book, marrying into a family of freeloaders. Auntie Dearest and her cunning plan to pawn off her daughter's deadweight onto your ex's paycheck, priceless. As for your masterstroke of financial vengeance, genius. Liquidating the trust fund faster than you can say, "Screw you, Ron," is the ultimate mic drop moment. Who needs alimony when you've got a trust fund to drain and an ex to bankrupt? Update 2. Here's the next update. This Christmas has been delightful. I got the satisfaction of seeing the disappointment on my ex's face. I went home and my ex came knocking at my door. He was here asking for his trust fund money, and that too he demanded 50% of it. I said, "Which money?" He said he had put his savings in the trust fund, which we intended to use for our business. I said, "Oh, that trust fund. I liquidated it." He flipped out. "How could you do that? We had kept that money aside for our business. Now what are we going to do about it?" I said, "Excuse me, there is no we here. You are my brother-in-law, and the person you should be calling we is right across the street." He took a deep breath and said, "Look, I know I've hurt you, and you have all the right to be mad at me, but I need that trust fund money. I don't have a job. The client for whom I was writing has off-boarded me. I'm hunting for another client. Lucia doesn't earn enough for both of us. I haven't paid the rent in the last 2 months, and if I default for one more month, the owner has threatened to lock me out. Please understand my situation." "Why the hell should I understand your cheating, bud? Remember what you did to me?" He said his cheating doesn't give me the right to whisk away his money. I screamed, "Your money? You owned only 20% of the trust fund." He yelled, "Whatever, I want it back." I said, "Remember the money I gave you for your monthly expenses? What about that? I have taken your 20% share of the trust fund and made it even." He was awestruck. Now he was calm and said I had spent that money on him as his girlfriend, so I shouldn't claim it. In that logic, he gave me the trust fund money when he was my boyfriend, so he shouldn't ask for it either. He threatened to sue me for eating up his share. I said if he does that, I'll also press charges of card theft because he used my debit card to withdraw the money from his monthly expenditure. I reminded him that if we calculate who owed how much, that he might land up in debt, so he better watch his tone and suck up the truth. He stormed out with a bitter face. If this encounter was not enough, my aunt and Lucia showed up at my parents' house looking for me. They were here to ask me about the trust fund money. Ron had told them that I took away his share of the money and now he has nothing left. He was broke. I said it was none of their business and that I would not discuss my matter with them. Lucia still pestered me to tell her because her future was at stake. I said this concept is beyond your understanding, so better stay away from it. My aunt yelled at me for insulting Lucia and said that I should lower my ego while talking to Lucia because she's more accomplished than I am because Ron left me for her. My dad came to my room upon hearing my aunt's voice. Aunt mellowed down on seeing him. She said she was casually talking to me about his distress. Dad said he heard everything, and if she dared to raise her voice again at me, he would cut her off all financial aids he has been giving to her. He said he regretted not meddling in my business earlier because they gave my aunt a free hand to humiliate me, but not anymore. Dad told her if Lucia is so accomplished, then let her help Ron in running the house and save themselves from getting locked out of the house. Apparently, Aunt Lucia didn't know about Ron's poor financial condition and about the default in rent. She was shocked. She started sobbing in front of my dad, saying that Ron had ruined Lucia's life because he could not provide for her. She was worried about where would they live if the owner actually locked them out. She requested I release Ron's share of the trust fund so that she can put his life together. My dad said he was proud of me for standing up for myself and laughed at Aunt for going behind my back and wooing Ron for Lucia. She should have thought about the consequences before pimping out her daughter. Aunt started crying that she did everything to secure her daughter's future. My aunt changes color at lightning speed, depending on the situation. She said, "Lucia doesn't have a father to have her back like you have. Neither she is educated like you to earn for herself, so I have to look out for her. I thought Ron was the one who could take care of my daughter, but see, my poor girl's fate betrayed her." Lucia broke down at this and said, "You could have told me that Ron was unemployed, but you let your sister marry a bum. But I'm not blaming you for that. You have your own reason for hiding the truth." My dad stood up and asked them to leave. They were the ones who went behind me to poach my fiance, and then came to my house to rub her daughter's hunt on my face. Now when things are falling apart, she's blaming me for hiding Ron's truth. What the F? While they were leaving, I said, "Don't worry for Lucia. There are plenty of sugar daddies out there waiting to shower love on girls like Lucia. I'm sure you both can find many." That was very mean of me to say this. Told you I'm not that good of a person. By the way, she was the one who started the humiliation when she came to rub her daughter's wedding invite on my face. I don't know what happened after that. I wished I recorded her when she was calling Ron a bum. He deserved to know that what his mother-in-law and wife thinks of him. Nonetheless, if she could call it in front of us, she could do it once on his face. It feels satisfying. Ah, the gift that keeps on giving. Nothing says Merry Christmas quite like a festive showdown with your cheating ex and his merry band of freeloaders. First off, kudos to you for handling that confrontation like a boss. Liquidating that trust fund faster than Santa's down a chimney? Priceless. And the icing on the fruitcake? Watching your ex squirm as you serve up some cold hard truth about his financial misfortunes. Talk about a ho-ho-ho-down of epic proportion. Update 3. Ron mailed me saying how badly he is screwed up. He borrowed money from his friend to pay this due rent, but he defaulted again because his client delayed the payment of his writing gig. The owner gave him the notice to vacate the house. He requested my aunt to let them live for a few months, but my grandparents refused to let them in. Ron didn't know that the house was not of my aunt. They lied to him that it was Lucia's house, and my grandparents were living with them when the truth was otherwise. Bunch of liars. He said Lucia also lied about her education and her job. She told him she was working as a manager in the restaurant. She lied to him about her salary as well, and that's why he thought he would follow the business plan with Lucia. I'm amazed at how could he not sense Lucia's dumbness on their dates. I mean, did he even talk to her before getting married, or was it just the booty call? He said he has given up on his dreams of writing and is seeking for a job relevant to his earlier experience. I ignored his email. A few days later, he mailed me again saying sorry. His first email didn't have sorry in it. He said he was sorry to betray me, and that's why his life has been so badly screwed. He said my aunt had taken Lucia with her and said she could not let her daughter live with her loser. For the aunt, I know she is well capable of doing this, and Lucia would follow her mom like a puppet. She has no mind for herself. I'm sure she didn't love Ron. She might have followed her mom's plan to allure Ron and get him. It makes me wonder the power of beauty. No matter how much we advocate gray matter, beauty does have an edge over all the intelligence of the world. The best of the minds fall for beauty, isn't it? However, I'm in no mood to forgive Ron or get back to him. He is apologetic now, but he is a cheater, and once a cheater, always a cheater. His life might be in a disaster, and some of it may be because of me. Trust fund thing. But I don't regret it a bit. I was fair to myself. He made a wrong choice, and he has to abide by it. I responded to his email telling him not to contact me ever again and blocked him. I wanted to tell him that once he got a better paying job, my aunt would drop Lucia at his place. But why would I pacify him when he crushed my soul by cheating on me with my cousin? His misery is no more than a gossip to me, which I discussed it with my mom with a good laugh. She said she was now feeling satisfied that karma had knocked down all of them. Look who's singing the blues now. Ron's life is spiraling faster than a dreidel on caffeine, and honestly, I couldn't have written a better plot twist myself. From defaulting on rent to being ousted by your grandparents. It's a classic case of you reap what you sow, with a sprinkle of poetic justice for good measure. As for you, dear OP, blocking Ron's sorry excuse for an apology is the cherry on top of this deliciously dark Sunday. Why waste your breath on someone who couldn't see a red flag if it slapped them in the face? Who needs closure when you've got karma doing all the heavy lifting? Cheers to moving on and leaving Ron in the rearview mirror where he belongs. What would you have done? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon, and put your chair back where you found it.